I need you to completely stop absolutely everything that you are doing right now in this exact moment. I honestly do not care if you are feeling extremely tired from a long and difficult day. I do not care if you think you have already heard every single motivational message that exists on the internet. What I am about to reveal to you right now requires every single ounce of your focus, your energy, and your undivided attention. Because this is not just a casual message that you can listen to in the background while you do other things. This is a powerful and direct confrontation with the ultimate truth of what you really are today, especially after everything that you have been forced to go through. I am talking to you because something profound and permanent has changed deep inside of you. It is a massive shift that not even you have finished completely understanding yet. Your mind is still trying to process the magnitude of your own growth. The people who live and work around you have definitely begun to notice this invisible change, even though they cannot find the right words to explain it to themselves. You walk differently, you speak differently, and you carry a new energy. This invisible shift is so massive that even unseen spiritual forces have detected it. They are currently responding to your new energy in ways that you are going to understand perfectly before this important message comes to an end. You need to understand that you did not just merely survive the terrible things that were designed to destroy you completely. You came back from those dark and lonely places with a massive new power that you absolutely did not have before the pain started. When I tell you that even the highest divine forces were terrified by your journey, I am not talking about fear in the normal way that a human being understands it. I am talking about that sacred, beautiful astonishment that only occurs in the highest celestial dimensions. This happens when a single human soul demonstrates a level of strength that completely defies all the expectations and projections that ever existed about it. You achieved that impossible thing. You broke the mold and shattered the limits. And the craziest part is that you did not even realize exactly when or how it happened. You were too busy trying to survive the storm to notice that you were actually becoming the master of the wind and the rain. Your survival was not a lucky accident. It was a clear demonstration of your deep spiritual power. The universe watched you walk through the absolute worst situations, expecting you to finally break, but you chose to stand tall instead. You gathered the broken pieces of your heart and forged them into a brilliant shield of pure light. This is why heaven stands in total all of your current existence. Because this revelation is so important for your future, I need you to subscribe to this channel right now and make sure you activate all the notifications. You must do this because what I am going to reveal to you about the deep transformation that occurred within your spirit will change your life. While you thought you were just suffering through endless bad days, you were actually being upgraded. Learning this truth is going to permanently change how you understand every single painful trial you have ever faced. It will change how you view every dark and lonely night you had to cross all by yourself. You must promise to stay here and listen closely until the very end of this message. I am going to show you exactly what specific kind of powerful energy has awakened inside of your soul. I will explain exactly why this specific power terrifies the forces of darkness, just as much as it completely astonishes the forces of heaven. I will also tell you exactly what this massive change means for absolutely everything that is coming into your life very soon. If you already feel that something inside of you has changed in a way that cannot be reversed, write the number 777 in the comments below. Write it as a sign that you have confidently crossed a spiritual threshold, and there is no turning back to your old, weak life. Let me take you back to a heavy period of your life that you would probably prefer to forget forever. It was a period where absolutely everything in your world seemed to be falling apart at the exact same time. The painful blows did not come slowly, one by one. They came crashing down in massive, consecutive waves that never gave you a single second to catch your breath and recover before the next terrible impact hit you. You know exactly the time period I am talking about. There was a specific moment, or perhaps several long moments in a row, where you genuinely and honestly asked yourself how much more pain you could possibly bear. The invisible pressure was so intense and heavy that you could actually feel it physically aching in your human body. The deep exhaustion you felt was not just mental or emotional. It was a heavy tiredness that penetrated straight down into your physical bones. You dealt with sudden losses that you never expected to happen. You faced cruel betrayals from the exact people you never imagined would ever fail you. Doors of opportunity closed in your face without any logical explanation. Things that seemed so certain suddenly evaporated into thin air. You experienced total loneliness in the exact moments when you desperately needed love and support the most. The hardest thing of all was the terrible feeling that the universe had left you completely behind. During that incredibly dark time, there were moments when you prayed with all your heart, but the sky felt like it was made of solid, cold bronze. You begged for clear answers, but you only received a heavy and painful silence. You searched everywhere for a tiny sign to indicate that all this suffering had a real purpose, but you found absolutely nothing. I am going to tell you a powerful truth that perhaps no one has ever explained to you correctly. That dark period of your life was not an accident. It was not a run of bad luck. It was not a divine punishment for a mistake you made in your past. It was a highly specific forging process. The difference between painful destruction and purposeful forging is a lesson you can only truly understand after you have successfully walked out of the fire. When a master blacksmith wants to create a beautiful sword of the highest quality, he does not work with cold, comfortable metal. He is forced to introduce that piece of metal to extremely high temperatures. He has to strike it repeatedly with a heavy hammer. He has to bend it in half. He has to subject it to massive pressures that would seem completely destructive to anyone who does not understand the ancient art of making a sword. But the blacksmith knows a secret that the metal itself cannot understand while it is being violently struck in the heat. The master blacksmith knows that every single painful strike of the hammer is actually eliminating weak impurities from the metal. Every single moment spent inside the blazing fire is completely reorganizing the deep molecular structure of the sword. Every single hard bend is greatly increasing the metal's natural resistance to breaking. What looks exactly like total destruction is actually a careful process of beautiful refinement. You were subjected to that exact same process. It did not happen because the universe wanted to see you cry. It did not happen because spiritual forces had something personal against you. It happened because the incredible power that was destined to emerge from your soul required a deep purification. This was a cleaning process that only the most extreme fire could successfully achieve. I want you to think about this truth very carefully. Before that dark period happened, there were hidden things inside of you that severely limited your potential, even though you did not know they were there. You held on to quiet fears that kept your life small. You had strong attachments to toxic people and bad situations that completely blocked your true path to happiness. You held on to negative beliefs about yourself that simply did not match your true, unlimited potential. You loved simple comforts that kept you totally stagnant and stuck. The intense fire burned absolutely all of that garbage away. It did not happen in a gentle or comfortable way, but it worked perfectly. What remained of your spirit after everything weak was finally burned away is exactly the powerful person you are right now. You are now a spiritual being that cannot be easily destroyed, simply because you have already walked through total destruction and survived. While you were going through that dark season, and while each day felt much harder than the day before, a miracle was happening inside of you. Your entire soul was being completely rebuilt. It was not just getting a simple repair or a small patch. It was being rebuilt straight from the deep foundation using completely different and much stronger materials. Let me explain how this beautiful process works in very simple terms that anyone can understand. When a tall building has deep structural problems in its base, it is never enough to just paint the walls or buy new furniture for the rooms. Sometimes, the only safe solution is to demolish the entire building all the way down to the dirt. Then, the builders must start over and create a brand new structure with completely different architecture. That is exactly what was happening inside your life. Your old mental structure, your old way of processing your feelings, and your old identity all had built in limitations. Those old weaknesses would have permanently prevented you from reaching the amazing destiny you are meant to manifest in this world. No matter how much pure effort you put into your daily life, That old mental structure simply could not support the massive weight of your true life purpose. That is exactly why the painful demolition had to happen to you. While you experienced that demolition as a terrible loss, a deep pain, and a senseless destruction, celestial architects were actually busy working on the blueprints for your new life. Each sad tear you shed was dissolving old foundations that needed to disappear forever. Each sleepless, anxious night was reconfiguring the mental patterns that kept you trapped in a lesser version of yourself. Each painful betrayal was simply cutting the heavy ties with people who would have become massive obstacles at your next level of success. Each closed door was gently redirecting your life energy toward better direction. Your conscious mind could not see these better paths, but your deep soul knew them perfectly. I am not trying to romanticize the pain you felt. I am not saying your suffering was easy or fun. I am explaining to you what was really happening behind the scenes so you can finally make sense of what seemed to have absolutely no meaning. The truth is that the level of fire you are subjected to is perfectly equal to the level of massive power you are destined to carry in your future. Think about the most important and transformative figures in all of spiritual history. Think about a man named Job. He lost absolutely everything he ever owned. He lost his home, his money, his children, his physical health, and the respect of his entire community. His situation was so bad that even his own wife told him to give up and pass away. He went through a devastation so incredibly complete that his name became famous for extreme suffering. Job was absolutely not destroyed by that pain. Job was forged by that pain. What emerged from that fire was a man who received double of everything he had previously lost. He also gained a deep understanding of the universe that only comes from walking through the darkest valleys. Think about a young man named Joseph. He was violently sold to strangers by his very own brothers. He was falsely accused of terrible crimes and thrown into a dirty prison for many long years. He was completely forgotten by the powerful people who promised to help him get out. Every single time it seemed like his life would finally improve, a new disaster made his situation even worse. But Joseph was not destroyed by that heavy darkness. He was perfectly positioned by it. The man who finally emerged had the massive authority to save entire nations from starvation. Think about a young leader named David. He was hunted down like a wild animal for many long years. He was forced to hide in cold, dark caves just to survive. He was betrayed repeatedly by the people he tried to help. He lived his daily life as a desperate runaway, even though he had a massive promise of a royal kingdom over his life. The painful distance between his sad reality and his amazing promise seemed totally impossible to cross. But David was not destroyed by those lonely years. He was completely prepared by them. He emerged as a brilliant leader with a heart full of deep wisdom. Do you see the clear pattern here? The fire was never random. The destruction always had a powerful purpose. It was perfectly calibrated to forge exactly what was needed for the future. You are a living part of that exact same ancient pattern. Let us talk about the specific power that emerged from you after you finally walked out of the hot fire. It is not what you might think it is. It is not just that you became a tougher person. It is not just that you learned how to survive stress. You actually developed deep access to new frequencies of reality. These magical frequencies are completely hidden from normal people who have never gone through the pain you survived. Let me explain this new ability in very practical and simple terms. Before you went through the painful fire, there were hidden dimensions of reality that you could not see. There were spiritual dynamics you could not feel, toxic patterns you could not recognize, and deep truths you could not easily access. This was not because you were a foolish person. It was simply because your internal energy system was not tuned to those specific high frequencies. It is exactly like a normal radio that can only play certain local stations because of how it was originally built in the factory. But the intense fire completely recalibrated your entire system. It literally changed your deep internal wiring. Now, you can easily perceive important things that were totally invisible to you before. You can physically feel the spiritual atmosphere of a room before anything actually happens. You can quickly recognize the hidden patterns of destiny that normal people completely ignore. You can easily spot the difference between absolute truth and a toxic lie, with an accuracy that feels almost supernatural. You can safely navigate through spiritual warfare with a deep, calm wisdom that was not available to you in your past. This is not about having a big ego or thinking you are better than your friends. This is simply the truth about your upgraded mind. You must understand what actually happened during your massive transformation. You need to know exactly why this new spiritual power absolutely terrifies certain dark forces. A totally transformed soul that manages to keep its honesty and kindness through the worst fire is very rare. A gentle heart that walked through pure hell and somehow came out without carrying any bitter poison is incredibly powerful. A beautiful spirit that was deeply crushed but refused to be completely broken is extremely dangerous to the forces of darkness. Dark energy hates you now because you can no longer be easily manipulated. You cannot be tricked with the exact same cheap lies they used on you before. You cannot be controlled by the exact same silly fears that used to keep you awake at night. The old, toxic tactics simply do not work on a strong person who has already survived the terrible things that were supposed to destroy them. Think about what your survival truly means to the universe. A person who lost everything and taught themselves how to rebuild from nothing is a powerhouse. A person who was deeply betrayed and learned that they do not actually need the people who hurt them is totally free. A person who walked through the darkest valley and learned how to create their own brilliant light is unstoppable. You are no longer a weak person who can be easily threatened by bullets. You are no longer someone who can be bought with empty promises of a comfortable life. You are a person who will never compromise your honest truth just to be accepted by a crowd. That specific type of absolute freedom terrifies the negative forces that rely on keeping normal people small, confused, and easy to control. I really need you to completely understand a fundamental truth about your current position in the world. Who you are today is absolutely not who you were yesterday. This is not just pretty poetry or a standard motivational speech. This is a literal, scientific, and spiritual reality. In the higher celestial dimensions, there are specific classifications for every human soul. These categories are based entirely on a soul's level of development and the strength they show when facing the hot fire. Before your painful season started, you were comfortably sitting in a lower classification. After you survived the extreme fire, you were instantly reclassified to a much higher level. This amazing promotion happened automatically. It was not because a judge decided to give you a pity reward for feeling sad. It happened because your deep transformation was so incredibly complete that it physically changed your internal spiritual structure forever. Just like a young medical student who finally graduates to become a fully licensed doctor, you have gained massive new authority. Your new spiritual rank gives you direct access to beautiful dimensions of reality that were completely locked to you in the past. Heaven is currently preparing amazing new assignments that perfectly match your upgraded capacity to love and live. Because of this, you must always protect your energy and avoid the silly distractions that negative people will throw in your path. Stay completely focused on your bright future. Prepare your heart to gently receive the massive blessings that are flowing toward you right now. If you confirm that you are truly ready to operate from this powerful new identity, write the number 777 in the comments below. Please subscribe to this channel immediately and share this specific video with a friend who is fighting their own difficult fire today. Click the video on your screen right now to learn exactly what your new spiritual rank means for your daily life. Remember, together we are always much stronger.